Welcome back to the Alphaville podcast, where I, Lily Becker, talk to my father, Marian Gold, about the upcoming album, Alphaville's upcoming album, called Eternally Yours. And in this episode, I don't want to talk to you about a specific song, but I would like to ask you some personal questions about your life, which I find very interesting, and I hope some other people also do. So I want to start with a question. When was the first time you were in love?
The first time I was in love I was with my teacher.
When I kissed the teacher.
I think I was I don't know 7 or 8. So and I fell in love with my teacher. I mean, she taught all the different things and
Subjects.
subjects and at that time. So
Amazing.
she was I can't remember her name, but she was like a goddess for me, beautiful and very adorable. And
And
she almost looked like Mama.
perfect. And when was the first time you actually fell in love? Like when you were older and more, or when was your first relationship? Maybe you can say it like that.
I was pretty old then. I was 17, I think,
Hmm.
when I had my first serious relationship. And yeah, it was I was very much in love, and I treasure the memory of this relationship.
However, it didn't work out, right? Otherwise,
No, it didn't.
I wouldn't be here.
Like many other relations after that. But it
And
was not always my fault.
and how did you deal with? I mean, I'm pretty sure sometimes when you broke up, you felt sad. And how did you deal with heartbreak?
It was terrible. It was really terrible. It was the end of the world for me. Um, it was like I felt so small and miserable. It was, I mean, it was the worst experience in my life, and I was heartbroken. It was, oh no, it was really terrible. And it lasted quite long. It took me time to get over those situations, and I had a couple of other love stories in that time, but it wouldn't help very much. And so it didn't happen very often, but it happened like 3 or 4 times in my life that I was really, really, really very heartbroken.
Oh. And do you sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you write about your heartache as well, right? You write songs, you write lyrics about it.
Hmm.
And how do you, quite a few, right?
Yeah, but most of those songs are quite sarcastic. Because I mean, it's like I write about my own feelings, and I know that when you have heartache, you think you're the navel of the world. Everything is you're in the middle of it, and in the middle of all the terrible feelings that you have, and the whole world is turning from you, but you are the center of all this, and it's somehow ridiculous. You're taking yourself much too serious, and after a while it will getting better.
It will getting better.
It's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I write songs about it, I write songs like "Wish You Were Dead" or songs like that,
Nice.
which they tell about my heartache, and
Is there actually a song that's out that's called "I Wish You Were Dead"?
as wishful thinking. I mean, we there was a single from Salvation, the first single from Salvation, and the record company said we can't release a single with that title, "I Wish You Were Dead." So please give us another title for the song. So I said, okay, then it's wishful thinking.
Nice.
But the
nicely
chorus goes exactly like that. Sometimes I wish that you were dead. That is because I love you so. I mean, this is, it's so contradictory, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like it is this this contradiction of feelings, and there's not much logic involved, and it's such a ridiculous thing in a way. Hard takes.
Yeah, love is just a
Love is a
huge.
comedy, like we said in Sounds Like a Melody. It's a tragedy, it's a comedy,
Yeah,
it's all these things at the same time.
a lot of stuff you can write about. And what would you say are the most important lessons that you learned in your life?
There's nothing you can have twice.
Damn. Okay. Yes. And what song on the album are you most looking forward to?
To play or sing, perform, to hear again.
To hear played by an orchestra live.
Live. I would probably Eternally Yours, actually, the title track. Because it is yeah, I mean, there's a reason that it's the title track. I think this is not I think, but this is the only track that I wrote especially for this album, for this purpose. All the other songs have been written before Eternally Yours, but Eternally Yours is the song that, yeah, puts it all together, all the pieces, and I wrote it especially for this project. So yeah, I'm looking very, very much forward in performing this song, because it will be the first time that that we will perform the song, and we will performing right away in this grand orchestral symphonic shape, and it will be a great moment for me.
Yes, there are a lot of incredible, like all the venues are really beautiful. It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be,
It's also the setting of the venues and everything.
yes.
It fits so perfectly. And what more can you expect? If you have a new song and you have a grand symphonic orchestra and a big concert hall, for what more can you ask?
Do you have a secret talent that no one knows about?
Uh, I can dance.
You can. Is that so? Really?
Yes, in my little world, I can.
Tell us about Nostradamus.
Oh, Nostradamus, this is a very tricky subject. I spent a lot of my free time in the 90s trying to translate the original text from Old French, which is very different from modern French, into German, and hoping that if I translate those verses that he wrote, which he considered as prophecies, that I would get a new understanding about it. And I did that really for quite a long time, parallel to my musical career, although these two things seem to be very contradictional.
And you even managed to encrypt some of those.
Yeah, this guy was also a bit like a charlatan, I think. I don't think that he was a real prophet or whatever. So one of the verses is it deals in a very dramatic thing. Somebody gets poisoned and whatever. But when you translate it very, very carefully, and you know the background of all those old French words there, you find that it's nothing than a recipe for a cake. And I'm pretty sure that this is the right interpretation of this verse. So if you find a verse like this, there might be probably also many others which are also deriving also from kind of sardonic humor, that this guy had.
Let's keep the people guessing.
But it's very, very it's a very interesting subject, because you learn so much about the time. I mean, to understand the verses, you must really dive into the time, in the Renaissance time, of the 16th century, and you learn a lot of about the cultural things at the time. A lot about astrology, for instance, which I don't believe in, but it's very interesting. Again, it's also a kind of religion in a way, and so it tells you a lot about how the people were thinking and ticking at the time, and it's just a very nice leisure.
Would you also say that your Alphaville inspiration kind of came from the work or the stuff you learned while studying Nostradamus?
Yeah, yeah. I think that a few of the songs were really influenced by, say, symbols or fantasies, of this guy. He seemed to be a quite interesting person, and I visited many of the places where he used to live and where he used to work at the time.
A question that comes to my mind is it's like a famous question, but if you consider the table and you can sit at the table with, I don't know, 5 people
Oh God.
who have who have ever lived on this planet, who would it be? Would it be Nostradamus? Would he be one?
He would be in a
Oh, let me guess.
closer
Let me guess,
circle.
and you just say yes or no. Okay, Nostradamus. Kind of.
No, just
David Bowie.
no, definitely not.
No.
No, I don't want to be disappointed. No, it's just because I
That
mean,
was so dry. I was like, I don't want to be.
it is just like, I mean, Bowie is a complete hero for me.
I know.
As a real person, he can only be disappointed because I have such a high opinion about him, and no regular human being could fulfill these expectations
I guess
of
it's
mine.
kind of like growing up. Like when you're a child, your parents are heroes and superhumans, and then when you grow up, you start to realize that they are also just humans and that they also make mistakes. So I feel that what you just said. I don't know. Jesus? Would you like to talk to Jesus?
Yeah.
I think so, right? Yeah. So it's Nostradamus and Jesus and Mendelssohn, or is that the same as with David
No.
Bowie?
Actually, I mean, when I was thinking about it, Mendelssohn was the first person that came into my mind. That I would really love to meet this guy.
What about Buddha? Do you have any connection to that?
Buddha?
Mm-hmm.
No, I wouldn't be in. I mean, if I had only a choice for one person, Buddha would not be in the first row.
Who would it be then? The other two?
Jesus would be interesting. I mean, yeah, I would like to meet this guy if he ever existed.
So Jesus, Mendelssohn, Nostradamus.
That's enough.
That's
I think.
enough.
Yeah.
That's enough to talk about while at a dinner party
For a lifetime, and probably
more.
more. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you still remember your first concert?
Yes.
Where
Yes, I
was
do.
it?
That was it was a festival, and Alphaville didn't exist at that time. I had my girlfriend at the time. She had a connection to a band that played on the festival, and the guitar player came up to her and said, "Hey, I know that your boyfriend, he's a good singer, and our singer is he's not his voice is a little bit fucked up. He wants to sing a song with David Bowie. What's the name? Suffragette City. And but he cannot do it. Could your boyfriend probably do it?" So it was Ariana. Ariana came up to me and said, "Hey, you can sing a Bowie song." I said, "Yes, I can sing a Bowie song. Yeah, with this band, on the festival." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I do it." So we went behind the stage, and I never had been on stage before in my life, in my whole life, or singing or performing or whatever. It was just like in the first idea. Oh, I can sing a Bowie song on stage. Great, Suffragette City. Yeah, I know the lyrics, everything fine. And then while I was climbing up the stage, I felt a little bit insecure. And then the show started, and then they started playing Suffragette City, and the guitar player said, come on stage. So I went on stage behind the microphone, and at that moment where I stand behind the microphone, I had forgotten the whole lyrics. I had forgotten the whole lyrics, so I stood there, they played the verse all over again, and then I just turned around and left the stage.
No way, really? Really?
And it was just so terrible. And there was a little lake behind the stage, and I wanted to go into the lake and drown myself in the lake because I felt so ashamed. I was such a loser. I mean, not only that I forgot the lyrics of my biggest hero, I also left the band on their own device on stage. It was just like too much. So I went into that lake, and then Ariana came and saved my life. It was really like that. So after that, I said, I will never, ever walk on stage in my life again. No.
Well, I'm glad you did.
As I said, we wrote this song especially for this occasion, and the lyrics derive not from me, but from another very talented writer named William Shakespeare, and they come from his sonnets, and we reassembled them a little bit, and it is still, I mean, it's still the same meaning. We didn't manipulate the meaning. It's about